Very much, Rahul. My name is Khotan Shahbazi-Harmon. I am here today with the co-director of the Education Working Group, Dr. Reddick. And together we were working under the direction of Dr. Colette Pierce-Burnett and Dr. Paul Cruz on the equity challenges in education. It was very transformational to be engaged in this very hard work and heart work of K-12 and higher ed work. We worked with a group of educators, administrators, community leaders, parents, education advocates. Since education is one of the fundamental pillars of the community, the work was very complex. And also, the data was very stark and very real. Rich is going to go through a data slide with us. The work around equity is not new and is not new to education, but we had to come together to really understand the issues and align the work and trying to synchronize the various approaches and agendas around this, and making sure that our focus remained on the system that was serving our most precious resources in the community, our children. So I'm going to toss it over to Rich for a moment to go over this data slide.
Thanks, Khotan. And I just want to say that you've been a dream to work with. And our committee, we so appreciate the folks who are community leaders, educators, activists. Everybody who worked with our committee was just incredible. We had hard conversations, but important conversations. And so, and I'm so happy coming after Rahul because we're going to use some community advancement network data to talk about some of the issues of disparities, right? So the fact that the task force that Dr. Pierce-Burnett and Dr. Cruz so ably steered us in is that we were talking to each other across these sort of silos of spaces of experience and professional identity, talking to folks in the finance sector, in the real estate sector, and so on and so forth. So, let's talk about the fact that, Austin, Texas is a space of great disparities. It's not something we're proud of, but it's part of our city's history. So one thing we thought about is the importance of our partners at E3 Alliance, and they've done such an amazing job of keeping track of what's happening across our region. So if you look at the left-hand graph, and that's the sort of Central Texas MSA, you can see right there of Austin, other school districts. Look at the patterns you see. You can see pretty evidently, for the most part, if you look east of I-35, that's where you see the greatest percentage of low-income students, right? And we all know the story. This is something we all know as Austin residents, right? And we actually made progress for many years. From 2012 until 2018, we actually saw a decline in the percentage of low-income students. 2018 to 2018, we were seeing an uptick. And I would make the assumption that because of the pandemic and all the things that have come because of it, we're going to see that increase as well. So that's not changing, right? There's an enduring structural inequity when it comes to income inequality, and that impacts our students, of course. The other thing I want to talk about is college readiness by districts, right? So you all are familiar with the Austin region. You know these different districts, right? Look at the schools, the districts that are doing extremely well when it comes to college readiness, right? You know where they are. And if you look at the ones that are having more challenges, you know where they are as well. And it maps very closely to this map you saw earlier on the left, which is also talking about income inequality, but also racial disparity. So the question about, is there educational disparity in Austin? Yes. Is it bound by race and socioeconomic status? Yes. The question is, what do we do about it?
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And I should also say, Rich, you are a dream partner. It's been unbelievable what I've learned from you. Thank you so much for everything. So one of the top recommendations of the Education Work Group was the creation of an action center for educational equity and racial justice. The vision of this center is that education of all children growing in Austin is important, that they all have an opportunity to develop into healthy people, attain a post-secondary degree or credential, earn a living wage, and to live their best lives. So the proposed mission of this action center is to develop, for it to be developed and owned by the people for the people. That's very, very important to our working group. group, using principles of truth and reconciliation, and to build the community conditions in Austin for an equitable, culturally sustaining, and anti-racist system of schools in which all students thrive. So in the next slide, you can see our strategies are very clear. It is this center would convene, inform, and support the work of education in the community. It would create community dialogues on leaderships. It would assist with post-secondary attainment and living wage careers, working on the issues around that, and access to high quality school options for all students, and ensure the talent pipeline is developed and is very dynamic and vibrant. And then also really to the point that Rich was making, to ensure that there are equitable teaching practices and instructional materials to ensure that our marginalized students in particular are seeing themselves in the materials as well as know how to get engaged with the materials. So that was the report from our working group.